Hi, this is Dr. A, and I'm going to show you two ways today to put in a certificate to cover multiple domain sites on a single IIS server. So today we can do this one of two ways. We can do this with something called a Unified Communications Certificate, which uses subject alternative names on a digital certificate to allow multiple host names to be protected by a single certificate, or we could just create different certificates for each domain that we're going to protect. And to do this, the first thing I'm going to do is going to actually create the certificates. So to do that, I'm going to pull up MMC and add remove snap-ins, and we're going to do certificates. And I want the computer account, and the local computer is fine, and that'll be okay. We can just do that one. And I can go in here right now. I have some certificates that I've already created, but we're going to create some new ones. So right now I've got home, Vivian, home, Scott and Patty, etc. So some of these here, I'm working on my home.scottandpatty.com, which I use all the time for education. And we're going to create another certificate that's similar to this one. To do that, we're just going to go to all tasks and do an advanced operation. We're going to do a custom request. And this requires that I do several things. So I want to proceed without the enrollment policy because this is not going to be related to Active Directory. And I do want this to be a legacy key, no template. And PKS 10 is fine. And here is where I have to make some changes. So we're going to have to go to details and properties. And you can change the cryptographic service if you want, but you don't have to. Key options, I'm going to change this to be a 4096. You can mark this as exportable if you want to. I don't think I really need to. And then the key type here is going to be an exchange type, not a signature type. And so we'll apply that. I'm going to go over here to subject. And here we can put in the things that are normally part of a the normal subject name information that's on a certificate. So if I do common name is equal to vivian.home.scottandpatty.com, I can add that. I can put in an OU, an organization. This would be home. I don't care. OU, this is going to be IT, maybe. That's my organizational unit. My location is going to be Collegedale. That's where I teach. In state, Tennessee, and of course country, US. And this is where I'm going to put in my alternative names. So here I'm going to go ahead and put in vivian.home.scottandpatty.com and add that. And I'm also going to put in www.home.scottandpatty.com. Add that one. And then I'm going to put in this dev.oiclearning.com, which is another domain that I own. And I can apply that. And over here on key usage, I need to say that I'm going to do digital signatures and key encipherment. And we'll apply that. And then we got extended key down here, and I want to make sure that this has server authentication. Apply. Okay. and that should do it. So it's going to say, where do you want to save this request? I'm just going to put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call this multiple domains .rec, and base64 is fine, and we're going to save that request. At this point, we're going to actually have to get that signed, so I have to process that certificate request, and to do that I need to actually use the certificate server. And for my particular installation, I actually have a certificate server already installed, and the web component up and installed. So this may be very different than yours, but it should have certrqxt.asp. That's really old. And to actually submit this, I'm going to have to go in here. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to go ahead and go back to here, and if you go just to CertServe, it'll go, you can say download a certificate, request a certificate, view the status. So I'm going to request a certificate, and I want to do an advanced certificate request. Here that gets me to this page, and at this point I'm just going to go to my desktop, and I've got this multiple domains request. Let's try a notepad, and I can just do Control A, Control C, and go ahead and close that, and Control V for paste. This is going to be a web server template that I'm asking for, and that's all I have to do in there. Just submit. I don't need the certificate chain right now. I could come back. I'm gonna download it just for this is, do you want to keep it anyway? Keep it, yes. And this one. Now you'll notice this second one is the P7B, that's the certificate chain. I'm really only interested in this certnew 1.cer. And in order to actually get that one, I'm going to rename these to multiple domains and multiple domains. Now, before I can use this one, I need to import it. So I'm going to open this one up, and I'm going to verify that it is the one that I think it is, just to make sure, because if I look at subject alternative names here, sure enough, I've got dev.oiclearning and www.home.scottandpatty and vivian.home. Okay, so that's the correct one. I'm going to go back to general here, and I'm going to say install on the local machine. Make sure you do that. Next. And place it in the following store. This is going to go into personal. And next. And finish. Import was successful. That's important. And if I go back in here now and refresh this view, I should have a new certificate. And I now have two of them, but one of them is going to have a slightly different, oh, this one doesn't have a friendly name. So I didn't put a friendly name on this one, so the one without a friendly name is the one that I'm going to want. And to do that, we're just going to go over here to the default site. And this one I'm just going to edit bindings, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. We have to add HTTPS, and this is the important part right here actually. Getting the certificates usually is not too difficult, but you need to have a host name. This one's going to be vivian.home.scottandpatty.com, and I'm going to require the server name indication, and I'm going to select this one here. And I can view it again to make sure that it's the right one. This is the one with subject to alternative name, dev. That's correct. So we're going to be looking at vivian.home.scottandpatty.com. I'm not disabling any of this stuff because I really want that. And I'm going to add a second HTTPS. I'm not sure that this is the absolute best way to do this, but at home.scottandpatty.com, all unassigned, and we're going to select that same certificate. So now I have both of these there, and if I actually go now to www.home.scottandpatty.com, there I am. And you'll notice I'm using HTTPS, and this lock says, yeah, permission for this site, connection is secure. Of course, I'm using my own, by using Edge here, I am using the certificate store that I just imported that in, so it does trust that. So that works fine. Now, to do the other part of this, I'm going to have to actually go in and change the DNS. This is my DNS manager, and I know it doesn't fit all on the screen that you're looking at here, but that's not important. I'm going to create a new zone, and it's going to be a primary zone. We don't need to store it in the Active Directory, but we can. The DNS running domain controllers in the forest. Well, I'm the only domain in the forest, so it doesn't really matter. And when I do primary zone, secondary zone, sub zone, I just need to create a primary zone. I don't need to store this in the Active Directory, so I'm not gonna. That way, it's not gonna ask me. So the zone for this one is gonna be dev.oiclearning.com, and that's fine. Do not allow dynamic updates is fine, and finish. And now all I really need to do is add a new A record here that says dev, no, just dev. So I'm not going to put a parent name in there because it already has the fully qualified domain name. I just want the domain name to point to 172.16.0.51, which is that same server name. So if I go back over here, yeah, it's created successfully. Okay, done, and we have that there. Now I can dispense with that from this point forward and go back and look over here. All right, adding the information. So I have a site already, and I've already got it bound. Let's add another website. Let's call this one dev.oiclearning.com. And I'm going to select the physical path for this. Now I already have something in here called OIC Learning, so I'm just going to take that. And the host name for this is going to be dev.oiclearning.com. And that'll make it HTTP. Okay, so that's fine, but I really want HTTPS, so I'm going to add HTTPS, all unassigned, still doing that, but here I've got to put in the host name, dev.oiclearning.com, and here we're going to pick that same certificate, and now we've got that. And at this point in time, I should be able to, go to vivian.home.scottandpatty, which will give me this same website because this is the same as www. That's just a C name. Or I should be able to go to dev.oiclearning.com. And you'll notice it right away popped me over to HTTPS because this application is expecting HTTPS, and it just shows oiclearning.com. And I should change that so that it's dev.oiclearning.com. But here I've got one UCC SAN for all these different names. So the subject alternative name or the Unified Communication Certificate, running one certificate, multiple domains on the same IP addresses with HTTPS. And that's how you do it.